To speak to, it's a member from Banff-Kananaskis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm a scientist, which means I love data, and there's a reason for that, and I think it's captured really well in this particular bill put forward by my colleague. So this bill is really about us creating a better understanding of who our students are, so that we can create an education system that addresses their needs. We can't do that based on feelings or assumptions. We need to do that based on data. And while I appreciate the comments just now from the member opposite about how much time and effort it might take to collect this data, I would just like to inform the House that this data is actually already being collected. So I have a couple of letters that have been sent to my office, as well as to the minister and to other pertinent members. So I have one here from the Foothills School Division that was also sent to the member from Highwood and to the member of Livingston McLeod, because you may not know, but the Foothills School Division is this massive school division that encompasses multiple ridings. So this letter starts by saying that the top priority of the Foothills School Division's capital plan has been a new grade 10 to 12 school with about 1,500 capacity in Okotoks. And the reason why this is a top priority is because in 2022-23, enrollment in the existing Foothills Composite High School, Alberta High School of Fine Arts, was 1,429 students, or approximately 130% of its intended capacity. This is not a unique story, sadly. Schools are overrun, class sizes are too large, but if we don't have the data to demonstrate where exactly that's happening, how do we know where to allocate resources to address the issue? The other thing that this letter from the Foothills School Division also discusses is youth mental health requirements, requiring a comprehensive community response involving the collective of community stakeholders, youth, families, and schools. This kind of comprehensive education, class, and school data would help us to understand what the mental health requirements and capacity requirements might be at various school boards and how we could address those issues. Without the data, we don't know where to allocate capacity. As a scientist, I often want to know what the data says. How do I know where I want to do the next phase of research if I don't have the current data? This bill is really about that. Similarly, I have a letter from Rocky View Schools, which also went to the Minister of Education in July. And that specifically talks about how many of the schools in Rocky View are already over capacity, and I'm quoting from the letter here, and our students and teachers are being negatively impacted as a result. We have continued to be creative in how we use our existing space, but the situation is rapidly becoming untenable. Our students come from rural and urban communities, some of which have been experiencing exploding population growth for several years. For instance, Airdrie's population grew by 14.29% from 2019 to 2023. With population growth comes increased school enrollment. During the 2022-23 school year, the utilization rate for all Rocky View schools was 91%, up from 87% in 2021-22. The result is crowded classrooms and the need to repurpose non-instructional spaces into classrooms. So you can see that this letter from Rocky View Schools also highly relies on the data of looking at population growth, as well as how that affects classroom enrollment. This letter, Rocky View Schools, is asking specifically for support to move ahead 4 projects that were approved in Budget 2023 from the design, planning, and pre-planning stages to construction in 2024. So I want us to really think carefully about how data informs our decisions. When we use data to inform decisions, we can have increased confidence in knowing that the decisions and the programs that we are implementing are actually addressing the gap that they are meant to address. So data isn't just about collecting some numbers and creating reports. It's actually about making sure that we use taxpayer dollars efficiently, that we have strong programs in place that will get to the heart of the issue. And it's not just about, collecting some numbers and making some graphs. This is important for me as the MLA of Banff-Kananaskis because I live in the in the western part of our riding. So those two letters were from schools that are over capacity in the east part of my riding. But in the western part of my riding, in the communities of Canmore and Banff, I have a very diverse, ever-changing community. With tourism as the major economic driver, we have a lot of new people coming into town to work and set up lives and raise families all the time. What that means is that the class composition is constantly changing because the composition of our communities is constantly changing. This bill would ensure that the schools in Canmore and Banff would report that data back to Alberta Education to make sure that we are getting the supports that we need in our schools. A lot of people don't know this, but there is a lot of French-speaking families that live in Canmore and Banff, and you might not know that unless you spent time going to Save-On and listening to all the different languages all the time. But our French community is growing rapidly, but I don't know how rapidly because we don't collect and report on that data anymore. Diverse communities need to collect data so that that data can inform what our education system looks like so that we are best serving students. Because let's not forget that this bill is all about supporting students to succeed in educational environments. And I really think that that is something that all members of this House can get behind. We can all appreciate the need for having strong, robust, accessible, inclusive public education systems in this province. So this shouldn't even be a bill that any of us have a problem accepting, because it's a bill to make sure that our public education system is strengthened and more robust as we move forward. It becomes more robust by being data-informed and evidence-based. The other part of this bill is that it creates an educational commission to basically be the arm that gathers the information, does the research, and creates the recommendations for improvement. And I thought that this government was all about new commissions and boards. I mean, I feel like we're talking about new commissions and boards every 5 minutes in this House. So what's one more? I mean, we could just create one that will actually do good things, that will actually help us inform and create a stronger, more robust public education system, and has standards that are guided by data. Again, this is the critical component, that our decisions in public education aren't based on feelings or maybe what we heard from one parent or one school board, but it's actually based on the data that our schools are already collecting. They're already collecting this data. They've sent it to me in these letters. We just need them to report it on a provincial scale so that that data can become more effective in helping inform public education systems in the province. And I think that that's all I wanted to say about this. So I really hope all the members of the House can get behind supporting this bill. I think that it is one that will help to strengthen our public education system by making sure it's evidence-based and data-driven. Thank you.